Welcome, 4th graders, to Unit 3, Lesson 4. Today's focus will be on addition and subtraction comparison problems. So we will be comparing different quantities using addition and subtraction today. You'll see a lot of language like how much more and how much less. Or you'll see words like what is the difference between this amount and that amount. So I'm really excited to do this lesson with you today, so let's get started. Yesterday, you practiced creating break-apart drawings for our addition and subtraction problems. Today, we're going to use these fun drawings that are called comparison bars. So I did one as an example here, and I'll show you a few more examples before you do some on your own today. This question is not really a question here, it's more of a statement. It says, Amanda has 9 apples and 12 plums. Here the question says, how many more plums than apples does she have? So we're going to be comparing the amount using addition or subtraction. Another way they could have worded this problem is, how many fewer apples than plums does she have? Either way, I'm solving for the comparison between the amount of plums and the amount of apples. So here where I starred with a blue star, you can see that I have comparison bars drawn. The first thing I showed was the one that she has most of, which in this case was plums. So I drew a bar with the amount 12. Underneath that, I got ready for a bar for apples, and I drew a bar here that represents 9, and then I circled the missing amount here and represented that with an X because that is an amount I need to solve for. So I don't know that total just yet. So X was my chosen variable because that is the information that I'm missing, so it's substituting in for a number. In order to solve this problem, I took her total amount of plums, 12. I'm subtracting the amount of apples, 9, so 12 minus 9 will equal X, which will answer the question, how many more plums than apples does she have? And it will also answer the same question, it's just reworded into how many fewer apples than plums does she have? So 12 minus 9 equals X. The missing number would be 3, and I could say 3 more plums as my label. Here we have another example to show you using comparison bars. This one reads, the nursery has 70 rose bushes and 50 tea tree bushes. How many fewer tea tree bushes than rose bushes are at the nursery? So they're asking here, how many fewer tea tree bushes? So we're comparing the amounts of rose bushes to the amount of tea tree bushes by finding the difference. So what I'm going to do, or what I've already created, are my comparison bars down here. I first wrote rose on top. I usually do the number that is the most on top. So rose here had 70 rose bushes. So I created a bar with the number 70 inside of it. Underneath that, I got ready for my tea tree bar. And remember, I made a smaller bar because she has less of these in the nursery. So there I put a smaller bar representing the number 50 for how many tea tree bushes she has at her nursery. And then I circled the amount that's missing here and represented that with an X. You can see now that my comparison bars are lined up once I have that missing piece. Remember, X was my variable standing for the missing number. In order to compare these two numbers, to find out how many fewer tea tree bushes she has, we do 70 minus 50, so the roses minus the tea trees, to equal X, how many fewer bushes she has of tea trees. That will end up being 70 minus 50, I know is 20, so my label will be 20, then fewer tea tree bushes. So there I use subtraction in order to compare the amounts of rose bushes to tea tree bushes. All right, we're going to try another example together. Here we go. This one says, Dan wants to plant some apple trees. He dug 21 holes in the morning and 9 in the afternoon. How many trees will he be able to plant? In this case, I actually had to do something different. Instead of putting the larger amount on top like I did for the other problems, I realized that the total here is missing. So instead of comparing amounts, I'm actually going to be adding amounts, 21 and 9, to figure out how many trees altogether he's going to be able to plant. So this comparison bar drawing is a little bit different in that I didn't know one of the totals of the bar. So I wrote trees here. I drew myself a large bar and labeled it X because I don't know how many trees he's able to plant until I solve the problem. I wrote holes. Here I knew that he dug 21 holes in the morning, so I drew a comparison bar for that. And then I circled the other piece here to match it up with my top bar and wrote 9 there because 9 holes were dug in the afternoon. And in order to find how many trees he can plant, I need to find how many holes he created. So then I added 21 from the morning plus 9 from the afternoon, and that will give me the total of how many trees he can plant. 21 plus 9 equals 30. So my label will be 30 trees that he will be able to plant. So sometimes you'll get a problem like this where your comparison bars will look a little different than the normal ones we create. Now it's time for you to try this skill on your own with our handy dandy ticket. Today you will have 2 questions to answer, number 1 located here and number 2 just below it. I'll read these questions aloud to you and talk a little bit about what I'd like to see for your work. Number 1 says, at the zoo, there are 7 monkeys. There are 6 more kangaroos than monkeys. How many kangaroos are at the zoo? In order to help you get started with drawing comparison bars, since that will be one of the pieces I'll need to see on your work today, I'll help you with number 1. So in this case, we know that there are 2 categories here, the monkeys and the kangaroos that we are comparing. Now, in this case, I know that at the zoo, they say there are 7 monkeys. So I'll draw a bar here and write the number 7 inside of it. And then it says there are 6 more kangaroos than monkeys. So they actually don't tell me how many kangaroos there are. So in this case, I'm going to represent that bar with an X, since that is the piece I do not yet know. So in order to solve for that, I know that they said there's 6 more kangaroos. So the missing piece here that I'll need to use will be a circle here. So I will need to add together 7 and 6 in order to find the total for the kangaroos. So there's an example of creating those comparison bars. Remember to go back in the video if you need another example when you're doing your work today. Number 2 will be another one you'll need to solve. So you'll still need to solve and finish this problem. Number 2 says, Avery is 13 years old. She, meaning Avery, is 4 years older than Maria. So how old is Maria? Again, please make sure to draw those comparison bars for me and then solve the problem to write down your answer as well. Good luck!